Okay, people. So now it's August 13th, 2017. So I woke up this morning, I couldn't even open my hand. Because this is hard work, people, okay? And this person that I'm dealing with here, you know, like, seriously, how do we know they're not connected to the Dunk clan? Seriously. I mean, there's some sort of ulterior motive going on in this, okay? Because this isn't anything that I wouldn't have done anyway, people. I gave myself until the end of this year, because I work right up until December, depending on the weather. Alright, I built Mr. Lace's pen. I started building it when we got him on December 24th, Christmas Eve. So I have been in the yard in the middle of winter building things. I built the compost in the front in December. So it's not it would not be unusual for me to be out here in October, November, December. Now mind you, if it's 20 below weather, I don't think so. So needless to say, anyway, it rained. So things are wet now. And if you work outside and you know anything about Fukushima, you know that radiation is coming down in the rain. What is it, cesium-134? It has a half-life of 8 days or something like that. Right? So, what I'm trying to say is, people, I'm worn out. You know, let the chips fall where the chips may, kind of thing here. In terms of not being able to meet expectations that are being placed upon me that are unreasonable, in light of I'm not a 10-man crew with a $20,000 budget. Okay, I'm just one person trying to keep my family together, right? Provide healthy food for them. Look at those tomatoes, they're coming. Oh, this is lovely. I'm so happy with this. And this is amazing. I really like this. This is so nice. Oh, it's just so peaceful in here, people. It is just so peaceful in here. Look at these things. So, I need to do these blackberries that I picked with my grandson. So I'm gonna do my dishes today and get the counters ready and everything, wash the jars, do the canner, that type of thing. I still have, and I'm gonna make plans to do one zucchini relish, one batch, because I have a lot of zucchini, right? Which is perfect because it's tasty. And then if I have any time after that, people, I'll come outside and I'll pick through this radiated stuff just to push it off to the corner. So, you know, obviously this stuff needs to be washed, right? Of course, we got a few extra things from my neighbors. Like this came in from the neighbors. This is a nice little shelf that just needs to be washed. And at some point, you know, when I organize it in there and make the nice shelves and everything, that will go in there, but not right now because I have to build in there, people. I'm always building. That's what it is. I'm always building. I'm always doing repairs, right? Hold on a minute. Anyway, there's my babies. This is the one that I found by the plum tree. I think it's just an English walnut. They seem to catch pretty good, right? The black walnut, different kind of shell, so hard to say. I might have to drill a hole in them or something. I'm a little worried about the worms, but whatever, because they're not catching. I got like 1, 2, 3. There's our new one, 4, 5. This one is taken, people. You can see it. So that's 6. Hard to say yet what's going to happen with that one. That one I found was kind of dried up, but it did have a little root system there, so it still may catch. So anyway, we got 6 right now. 6 English walnuts, 2 white oak trees, and 2 Norway maples. So, see, people, this is what I mean. It rained. Do you see? Now, whether my landlords benefit from this program that we're working on remains to be seen, because technically, hold on a minute. was saying, technically, when you work on a nonprofit and you're like a board director, right? And in my case, I'm the president still after all these years. You're not supposed to benefit directly from the charitable work that you do, right? So let's say that $300,000 comes in, and whoever is managing that little pilot project gives my landlords $2,000 to... Now, there is a gray area in here because my landlords are completely oblivious to what I am talking about here. They have no clue. Okay? So, it's not like they're conspiring to get this $2,000 through me, right? This is something that I'm doing because this is something that the nonprofit is capable of doing. Please let me talk, okay, Andre? Andre, please.
I'm just going to sweep the water out of the shed.
You do that. That would be great.
This?
Yeah, you go clean. You go sweep the water out of the X Club.
Okay.
Yeah. / greenhouse / painting room. Thank you, sweetie. That's very helpful. He's going to go sweep. Okay, this is where I'd be like helpful to have my son's camera, but right now my son and I are back and hissing fitting with each other over a pot that was left by the garbage cans in the compost bin, right? That's the video that's being uploaded. That's going to be uploaded. Well, it's being converted and it's going to be uploaded. So the one before this one, after this one's uploaded, right? I mean, like, serious. So now, like, you know, now I'm afraid to ask him for his camera because we were having a hissy fit over a measly pot because of the city. Because of the city, people. You know, clean up the back and there's a pot sitting by the garbage can. City comes by and says, well, there's a pot there with some old food in it. Oh, and start the process all over again. Somebody said, are you sure it's not the landlords that are up to this? Provoking the city to do this, trying to force you out? And I'm like, no, I don't think so, because if that was the case, they could really be giving me a hard time about not paying my rent in full on time every month for the last 2.5 years since Uncle John's been gone. That's a long time, 2.5 years, people, for my landlords to be taking $1,050 at the first of the month and the other $650 from the 11th on when Andre's money comes in. I mean, what kind of landlord does that? So if they really wanted me gone, they could have been coming up to me and saying, look, Judy, you know, we just can't carry that kind of burden anymore. Like, you know, we love you and you're like family, but at the end of the day, you know, between everything else that's going on in life, you know, we just can't afford to carry you through. So I lean towards, no, my landlords are not provoking this. I lean more towards it's the city trying to make the neighborhood look rich because they're getting rid of all the freaking toys, people. They don't want no toys in the back where it's like onto a driveway, right? They don't want no toys, absolutely none, to be seen in the front. Now, why is that? They want everything looking pristine, so that they can continue to jack up these house sales. That's all. But as they do this, that tax base is affecting that homeowner, that homeowner, that homeowner, that homeowner. They may not feel it this year, they may not feel it next year, but give it a few more years when this property and the property over there is selling for $2.2 million and those people are still living in their house that they've owned for the last 15 years and their income is stagnant, it hasn't increased, while their expenses have increased. And their taxes are going higher, and then they're going to be forced out of their house. That's what's happening, people. So my landlord is caught up in that drama. This house is being targeted because if they can knock down this house, it's easier to knock down all the other houses on the block. They're selling property with no houses to build nothing. You can't build anything on it. You can't even do major house repairs on this house. You can't add on a sunroom if you wanted to. You can't do nothing because this whole area has been on lockdown for the next 20 years until everybody's pushed out to bring in these fucking high-rises. Now, my son says, I'm kind of distracting away for a minute, but whatever. My son says, but that's what we need. We need these high rises. Okay, I'm going to ask him for his camera today. Anyway, my son says, because we get into these debates, right? We do. You know, he makes a good conservative, a good liberal in terms of like a provincial BC Liberal government, not so much like them, but just his ideology, the way he thinks. Like, you know, like his sister. Well, you know, it is what it is, and she did it to herself, and you know, now mind you, he's tired, and we're all tired of her illnesses. So at some point you do have to let go of the toxicity. But at the end of the day, people are just getting so desensitized into this crab barrel mentality. So with these high rises, you know, he says that's the kind of housing that we need in order to fill the demand, right? Okay. Well, I disagree because I suppose for some people it's okay. For the ones that want to live like a hermit in their little cubicles, because that's, you know, a lot of these units are getting smaller and smaller, right? You know, and you know, they're comfortable just to be by themselves and just live their life like that, right? Or quiet, or they're being bought for investment purposes so that later on they can go buy a townhouse. Be quiet, right? They're not built for quality living. They're built to warehouse people. This is my opinion. To warehouse people and to control them and to control their movements and their actions and what they eat and everything else, right? And at this point, they're being marketed to people overseas. So in other words, if a high rise goes up, 70% of the buyers will be coming in from China and places like that. While only 30% of the indigenous Canadians, regardless of their heritage, right, ethnic heritage, will be able to afford these introduction high-rise apartment blocks. Okay, that doesn't help families. That doesn't help families, people. You can't raise a family in a high-rise effectively in terms of the meaning of life, what it means to have a yard, what it means to grow a garden, what it means to have a pond, what it means to have an apple tree, what it means to have blueberries, what it means to have strawberries, or whatever. You get my point. What it means to have raccoons living in your shed. So, you know, there's a fine line to development, okay? Right? So, in the meantime, we haven't gotten 15, 20 years ahead of ourselves to the point where all these houses are decimated, all these families have been scattered, right? Because there's still the city. It's the city that needs to clear out the neighborhood, right? So they're being selective. Like I said, Andre, please, if they take down this house, it's easier to chip away, right? If they wear down my landlord to the point where the landlord sells the house and an investor buys it, so where they can flip it every 6 months or every 4 months, and every 4 months they're increasing it. So if my landlord can get $1 million, let's just say, we'll round it off. If my landlord can get $1 million by forcing me out, okay, they go off and they pay their bills, and you know they're old, so you know they don't have to worry for too many more years because they're old, right? They get to spend their money and leave a little bit for the family, and it's done, right? In the meantime, the new owner of this house more than likely will be an investor, because anyone wanting to move in and live here for any length of time is going to be faced with the same kind of drama that I'm being faced with. Well, you know they're tearing down the block, right? You know they're going to do this, and you want a sunroom? No, city bylaws won't allow you to build a sunroom because this whole area is designated as to be demolished for condo development. So whoever buys this house is stuck with its main structure, and that's it. They can't improve it. They can work in the yard and they could build a greenhouse, but they don't need to because it's already there. They just get the benefit from that while they live here, you know. And if they rent it out to renters, right, which they probably would, because it would probably be bought just as a you know, investment purposes more than anything else. So there's a high probability that they're going to have renters move in, because renters are easy to kick out. So, somebody buys the house as an investment property, have renters move in. 6 months later, they're going to flip the property now because that's what's happening, people. So they put the house up for market, right? Next thing you know, it's selling for $1.2 million. New owners buy it, kick out the tenants, which is happening throughout the whole freaking province, right? New tenants move in. 6 months, 4 months later, that property goes back, this property goes back up for sale. Now it's selling for $1.5 million. As that one over there is selling for 1.8. In the meantime, my neighbor over there, who've been there for 15, 25 years or whatever it is, their taxes are just going higher and higher and higher. And because some of them are pensioners on disabilities, they don't have the income to cover those taxes as they're increasing over the property gouging being done through corruption. Because they're trying to make the neighborhood look rich. I'm walking through the yard, going through there, and I'm like, okay, so we're starting to look rich. But you know what, people? I don't feel rich. I'm making it look rich for the city of Surrey so that they can benefit as they harass my landlords. So I really don't think my landlords are the ones trying to force me out, because if they really wanted to force me out, they could say to me, look, Judy, we just can't carry on holding that rent over for that 11 to 15 day period because, we just not able to do it. You really need to we love you, but, you really need to think about trying to find alternatives or pay your rent in full on the first of every month. And if that was to happen, people, hydro would get cut off, gas would get cut off, nothing would get paid because I have X amount of dollars just to meet just a little bit of bills, and even then I don't have enough, and that's why when Andre's money comes in, I cover the rest of the rent because otherwise the hydro will get cut off if I give it all at the first of the month to my landlord. I only want to live here for a while. I don't know what a while is. I just want to enjoy the fruits of my labor in terms of Andre. I love the blueberries. I love this yard, man. I want to stay, and I'm like, I know you do. And I want him to have the freedom of the yard and to be able to go pick blueberries when he wants and raspberries and, and we got the pond and just, the pear tree and, we got the greenhouse.
And the blackberries.
Blackberries.
And I still don't want to move.
And he doesn't want to move. For me, I'm hoping that once the main structures and the bricks are down and everything, the workload won't be as hard, right? In terms of maintaining on the yard. My son screaming at me yesterday over this pot. You take ownership. It's your fault that the city showed up. No, people, it's not my fault that the city showed up. It's the fault of the fucking mayor, the one that runs the city in terms of, like I said, they don't provide no spring cleanup for their residents. Okay, what they do is they target their residents as they're coming in with building materials and that type of stuff. And as soon as enough accumulates where they have an excuse to justify their bylaw, next thing you know it, they're coming in on one thing, and then they use that one thing to start going through your whole property through invasion under some agenda to keep that money train moving. Which gets people fighting because you can't really determine who's what's going on and who's at fault. My landlords don't benefit from selling this house under pressure. No. Yeah, they get their $1 million or whatever it is, but at the end of the day, if they keep this house for the next 5 to 10, 15, 20 years, not because, well, I suppose for money, well, I would think it would be more than $1 million they'll get back, right? In terms of an investment. But at what cost? If they're trying to force me out just so that they can make more rent off of somebody else. That doesn't make any sense, right? If they're, the numbers don't add up. So anyway, let's get back to this little program that I'm talking about, this little pilot project, okay? I'm not going to doubt my landlords. I'm not. Because, like I said, they're honest, hardworking people when they, when they worked and stuff like that. You know, nobody is perfect, but if it was such a burden for them, you know, their landlords, they're not afraid to tell me, look, we can't afford to not receive our rent in full. Okay? And in terms of buckets and toys and wood, building materials, I mean, that's just the excuse for the city. Like I say, they follow you around, they wait to see what you bring home, and as soon as there's enough for them to take a picture without the full story, right? Because you know how they say a picture can say 1,000 words. Well, you can write any kind of story around that picture if you're a liar, just to create yourself a case, right? Without doing the research, without investigating, kind of like Uncle John. You know, they created a case, but they never investigated it, and then they just trashed John, they trashed us for a profit. That's kind of what the city is doing. They're trashing us, trashing his family, trashing my landlord for a profit. So anyway, in terms of like being at arm's length, so the project goes through, we have $300,000. Could my landlords benefit from that? At arm's length, hard to say, you know, because I'm talking ethics here. I am the founder, I am the president, I am the mastermind for this pilot project. I won't be the one to jumpstart it and to get it, you know, going in terms of like getting the money coming in. And I sure in the hell won't be the one divvying it out, right? I'll be just watching it happen, right? And giving my 2 cents as it's happening. Because there are more experienced people than me. Could I sit there and say, well, my landlords need $2,000? Forget who I am. It's not their fault. I don't know, people. I don't know. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it so that my landlords can make $2,000 free to do some house repairs. I'm doing it because I'm trying to show you, the viewer, that this is something that we need as a collective in terms of uplifting our society as a group, as just human beings, to helping each other. If they can have homes for habitat for homes or whatever, they can have this, okay? And it's something that it's needed because just with the political atmosphere, Andre, please, just with the political atmosphere of what's happening in terms of gentrification of neighborhoods and the ramifications around that gentrification, because this is a form of gentrification. Like I said, this yard's starting to look rich, right? Only I'm not rich, people. I work under less than slave labor wages. I get $0 and I put in, I work like a slave.
A slave?
Yeah, like a slave. I'm so worn out that tomorrow when these people come, I'll be like,
Like a slave.
just whatever. Can't say I didn't try, right? I have to wash my dishes. I really need to do some laundry. These blackberries have been sitting in a pot for 3 days. Like, if they don't get cooked up pretty soon, they're going to end up in a compost bin. If they don't end up in the compost bin. Chicken needs to be cooked, right? Otherwise, it's cat food. It might even be cat food yet because it's been sitting there for 3 days. It depends how fresh it was before it was packaged. Open it up, smell it. I'll be able to know. You know, like, there you go. If that's not a slave working out in the yard and having no life, what is that? Is that my landlords doing that to me? Hell no. Is that my landlord sitting on me to do that to me?
Yes.
So that they can get threatened with fines so that I can get kicked out? That's the excuse to kick me out? Andre, please. No. No. That is not the excuse. This is the city on the agenda for gentrification of the neighborhood at the expense of exploiting poor people and taking advantage of homeowners, regardless of whether they have money or whether they're just old age pensioners. It doesn't matter because the city is on a money grab. They're the predator. And they hire psychopaths that enjoy being predators. All right? Like I said, they start in one location, 6 weeks later, they start going through the whole freaking yard. Right? Adding on to the list. Why? To distract me away from the pilot project? They shut down the 50-50. They made sure that the homeless people didn't get helped, right? They wanted to keep them on lockdown for whatever perverse reason, right? Somebody's benefiting with all that dysfunction out there. It sure in hell isn't my daughter. It sure in hell isn't this family. Sure in hell it isn't Uncle John. But somebody is. Cops are having a great time. They like going around chasing fucking people, right? That's what they get paid for, chase people, right? But there's very selective who they chase. They don't chase the white criminals, the white collar criminal, right? They chase the petty criminal, the one that's easy to beat up, someone like me, right? Only I don't get chased by cops. I get chased by city bylaw cops, right? The new cop on the block. That's who I get chased by.
These are not cops.
Right? I know they're not cops, but they act like cops. They act like cops, prosecutor, judge, jury, and jailer. All under one little teeny weeny bylaw, people.
Yeah, and this smells like strawberry.
Nice. So will my landlord be able to benefit from this pilot project if it goes through? I think that would have remained up to the board directors that are managing that program and the committee, because there would have to be a committee around it, right? And obviously, I'm not going to appoint the committee because I have no experience. I'm new on the block. I'm the newbie. I'm going to learn these things, okay? Just like when I came into this yard and it was nothing but sand, weeds, mud, and morning glory, okay? It's not like that anymore, people. And if you notice, the better and the stronger it comes together, the harder the city fights back. Well, God forbid if we get this little pilot project going and we actually start helping this person and helping that homeowner and helping somebody up in the Kootenays as their forests are burning down. You know, maybe their porch got burnt up and they needed a new porch. Could be something simple as that, right? But we're not just going to be focusing on Surrey. And what are they going to do? All of a sudden they're our friend? All of a sudden they like us? As a governing body, you know, in terms of, you know, like who runs that crew? Like who runs the city hall? I'd like, the mayor runs the city hall?
No.
You know, we get $300,000 and we start helping people with home repairs, and what? Now she's gonna like us and she can come apologize to me, right, for destroying my family and her and Diane Watts, right? You know, destroying a nonprofit. Right? Because that's basically what they're doing, right? If I leave, that's the only reason I'm leaving is because I can't stand the fucking city council with their, you can't do this and you can't do that. Don't breathe! Don't breathe! Like, what the hell, man? You know, get ready to go into a 400 square foot cubicle and learn to be happy as I, the mayor, sit up in my $500 million home, and I'm walking around, spending taxpayers' money, figuring out who I'm going to target next so I can stay up there and convince myself that I'm already in heaven. Right? So, the axe is coming down tomorrow. I should be outside in that radiated, infested backyard because it rained last night. Right? And contaminate myself with cesium-134 from Fukushima, which is still leaking like a sieve, radiation into the environment every day for the last, 6 years? Just so some city dude that I'm starting to think maybe has a mental illness can show up or is directly connected to the Duncan clan on a vengeance, one or the other, or takes his job too serious because the mayor's got the whip on his back and he has to fill his quota. Right? Too many variables in there, people. He can show up tomorrow because he's going to show up tomorrow and just tell me I not good enough. I didn't measure up to his expectations. Doesn't matter if I spend out there another 12 hours. It's not going to measure his expectations because he's going to find something over there. He's going to find a half a wood pile on the side of the house over here that I haven't completely removed yet because I might need some of that wood when I start building in this pathway with those blocks just as a temporary border, right? So why would I use good wood for that? No, I'm going to use old wood for that. So I'm like, leave the wood there. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Don't get vindictive. Don't get spiteful. Don't shut down. You know, God gave you bricks through the Korean neighbor, right? That was a blessing. That was that ching-ching, right? That just fell from the sky. And now that you've got the materials, don't be afraid to use it. Muster up your energy. You got until November to do it. This is what I'm going to tell the city, dude. You want to put a fucking whip on my back to do brickwork along the path when technically I'm not even obligated to do it. I'm doing it because I want to do it for my family. I want to do it for my landlord. I want to do it for my grandson. I want to leave it behind when I leave. Doesn't give you the right to come in and start putting a whip on my back as if you're some big bad boss that needs to terrorize its slave labor in order to get the work done. Right? So it doesn't matter because he's going to say, what's that wood there for? And I'll be like, well, you know, you see this little path? When it rains come winter, it's all mud. So I figure before you move it away to hide it from you, I thought I'd just leave what little bit is left, and then when it comes time to build the path, I have to level it out, people, and I'm not very good at this stuff because I've never done it before. I'm only kind of using common sense. So you level it out. You put, because you know how they cement things, right? You have a line of 2x4s here and a line of 2x4s here. You get your level. You level it out, right? And then you put your sand down, which my neighbors are giving me, which as a matter of fact, I need to bring home soon because they're leaving. So I need to go get that sand, which is going to be another pile for the city of Surrey to say, what is that sand doing there? Don't you have enough sand in your yard? I'll be, yeah, but I need this sand. I need this sand for this area, right? And it's free. And it's perfect for just what I need. So I got to go get my wheelbarrow and go get a mound of sand and pour it down somewhere over here where he's going to walk by and see it. And bitch on me on about it, right? So I lay down the sand and I lay down the bricks, makes everything nice. If I want, I could even put a border of like pour cement, right? Maybe I'll put 2x4, 2x4, have the bricks 2x4, 2x4, and then just as a final touch, well, maybe not a 2x4, but maybe a 1x2 or something like one of those little things. And then as a final touch, just to secure the bricks in so they don't shift, I can pour a strip a line of cement on each side just to hold those bricks in so that they stay in shape and stay you know, for time. So they stay there for a long time. They don't move because you have that border. I need wood for that, people. And I'm not going to go to Home Depot and go buy new wood for that. I don't even have a car to get to Home Depot. Thank you very much, Fraser Health Authority and CIBC Bank. So anyway, I'm going to just leave it on that note, okay? I'm going to keep this video as is and upload it from this point forward. Right?
Too bad I can't go to Peter.